Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're taking a headline that, on the surface looks like pure celebrity gossip. We're talking about a model, a provocative photo, but we're going to dig into these really powerful, messy layers underneath. We are diving deep into the world of Heidi Klum. Our source material is all about her recent social media, but also some really candid interviews she's given. She explains her, long-held choice to pose topless, whether it's for a professional shoot, an Instagram post, or even just sunbathing in her own backyard. And our mission isn't just to look at the photos, it's to unpack her reasoning, which involves culture, parenting, and then see how that stacks up against what her own kids have said.
That's it, exactly. And the sources we've pulled together for you, they're really tight on the timeline here. We're looking at celebrity news coverage right from the turn of the year, so January 2026. And that coverage details the Instagram post that, got everyone talking again.
Yeah.
But the real insight, the gold, comes from two other places. A detailed People magazine interview from last July and some unbelievably honest anecdotes she shared back in 2024 that was on the Call Her Daddy podcast. Those two interviews are where the story really is.
Okay, let's unpack this. So let's just set the scene with the recent stuff. Just to establish the baseline of, consistent comfort we're talking about here. The posts themselves, they aren't new for her, but they really anchor the conversation in the present.
Precisely. If you just look at the posts from the end of 2025 and the very start of 2026, they show, well, it's not just comfort. It's a casual, routine kind of comfort.
Yeah, like the post that got the most attention, that was January 3rd, 2026. Klum, she's 52, and she's just relaxing on a wooden platform. She's wearing brown bikini bottoms and covering her chest with her hands. And the caption is just golden hour art. It's all very matter of fact.
And that casual approach is the key. That is the consistent pattern. Just a few days before that, on New Year's Eve, her post showed her with her husband, Tom Collitz. He's 36. And again, she's just in red bikini bottoms. They're watching the sunset. Her caption just sort of radiates this complete comfort she feels. Something like, happy, contented, and grateful. And she calls it our last sunset for this year, saying they were ready and open for anything that comes.
Let's go 2026. Love is life.
Right. It just reads like total contentment.
And it's so important to see this isn't just a one-off vacation thing. We saw a similar reel, I think it was right after Christmas, December 26th. She's in these tiny black bikini bottoms lying in the sand and again covering up just enough for the platform's rules. So this proves that for her, this level of openness, it's just a standard part of her self-expression. And it spans years. We see notes about this when she was 50 and 51. The specific age doesn't really matter.
No, the consistent comfort is what lay. And the fact that the news outlets were, slightly off on her age and different reports, it just shows how often she's done this. It's not a sudden PR stunt. It's an established habit.
So if this is what she does consistently, the question is, why? And that brings us to Klum's actual stated philosophy here. She's not just doing this for clicks, it seems. She has a clear reason, or a set of reasons, that she laid out in that People interview.
What's fascinating here is how she frames it. She has an answer ready to go for the public. She said, and this is a quote, "She has always been very open with my body." And she anchors that behavior in her culture, stating very explicitly, "I'm European."
Huh?
She presents this freedom as a fundamental difference between, how she was raised and typical American norms.
And crucially, she connects it directly to being a parent. She suggests her children, and I quote, "don't know me any other way." And because of that, she thinks they are probably more easygoing with their bodies because of it. So you've got culture, personal comfort, and this pedagogical intent. She sees it as setting a body-positive example.
And then you get the third driver, the really practical one that almost gets buried in the bigger conversation. She mentioned that when she's sunbathing, she simply just don't love tan lines. And that little detail is so critical because it grounds the entire philosophical argument in a simple, functional decision.
That's a powerful duality, isn't it?
It really is.
On one hand, it's this big conversation about European identity and raising body-positive kids. And on the other, it's, I just don't want a stark white line on my chest.
It creates a really useful frame for thinking about it. Is the European thing the source of the behavior? Or is it the justification for the behavior, which is really just about not wanting tan lines? But either way, it's clear she's internalized this choice so completely that she genuinely believes it benefits her family.
And before we get to the family's reaction, we have to remember the dynamic here. We're talking about 4 children with her ex-husband, Seal. Lenny is 21, Henry is 20, Johann is 19, and Lou is 16.
That's a huge range.
Yeah, from mid-teens to a young adult, all navigating totally different social pressures. And that's the environment her philosophy has to survive in.
Exactly. I mean, the social pressure on a 16-year-old is just vastly different from a 21-year-old model who's already famous herself.
And here is where her whole stated philosophy really collides with the reality of raising 4 kids. This takes us to the most candid and frankly kind of hilarious part of the source material, the anecdotes she told on the Call Her Daddy podcast back in 2024.
She shared this fantastic detail. It's all about the negotiations that happen when their friends come over the house. Klum says that if she's relaxing in the garden and happens to be topless, her kids feel like they need to give her a warning.
A warning. She actually quoted them. She said they'll say, "Mom, just a little warning what's going to happen here." And, she assures them she'll cover up. She says, "When have I ever not had a top on when your friend was coming over? Of course I will." Oh. The very fact that these young adults feel they have to issue that warning,
Right.
it just suggests this level of anxiety about what other people will think. They clearly haven't reached that state of total easygoing body comfort that she hoped to instill in them.
No, not at all. And that warning is such a crucial signal. They're acting as a boundary, a filter between their mother's private life and their own social life. It's basically an attempt to manage the collateral damage of their mom's personal freedom.
Wait, if the goal is really to make them more easygoing with their bodies, the evidence here suggests the exact opposite might be happening. They're hyper-aware, they're hyper-vigilant, and they are actively managing their mother's behavior for social compliance. That's not easygoing, that's stressful.
The tension is very real. And Lenny, her 21-year-old daughter, she gives us the clearest picture of this conflict. Lenny confirmed everything. She recalled her mother tans topless by the pool even when she was having birthday parties and her boyfriend's over.
That right there, that's the pivotal moment in all this material. That's the generational clash. Lenny confessed that when this happened, she was, and this is a direct quote, so embarrassed and scared.
Scared.
That word scared, it's so powerful. It elevates this way beyond simple teen eye rolling. It suggests a genuine fear of social consequences.
And this is where we really have to pause and connect what Lenny experienced to the bigger picture. She articulates the conflict perfectly when she compares her family to other families. She observed that she never saw her friends' moms tanning naked at the pool. She knew her mother's behavior was a statistical outlier in their circle.
But then she added this other layer, this profound cognitive dissonance. She said she thought it was normal inside their own family, even if her friends were, in her words, kind of standoffish.
Wow, that phrase, kinda standoffish, that captures the entire external pressure Lenny is dealing with. It's all about adolescent social currency. The most valuable thing is acceptance. And when your friends are standoffish because of something your parent does, it directly impacts your social standing. It doesn't matter how normal it feels inside your own house.
So Lenny is completely caught. She's stuck between loyalty to her mom's personal freedom and the tyranny of the peer group. Her mother's intention was to liberate her, but the world outside is imposing a much, much stricter set of rules.
It just highlights the limits of parental influence, doesn't it? Klum can set up this powerful, open, and healthy internal definition of what's normal. But what she can't control are the cultural pressures, especially the American cultural pressures her kids face every single day. The need to conform to your peer group's norms. It often overrides even the most well-meaning parental philosophy.
And this clash is just fascinating because Klum's celebrity status blows it all up. If she were a private citizen, Lenny's embarrassment would just stay within their social circle.
Yeah, it would be a private family issue.
But because Klum is this global icon known for her openness, Lenny's private negotiation is now a global story.
Yes. The scrutiny is totally unavoidable. When you have a parent who is so publicly comfortable with their body, it forces the children to develop these really complex coping mechanisms, like giving a warning or feeling scared, just to manage the judgment they know is coming from the outside.
So we've really traveled from a set of public Instagram photos, the golden hour, unapologetic self-expression, all the way to these very private, slightly awkward warnings and deep anxieties happening behind the gates when friends are coming over.
And that raises an important question for you, the listener, as you're synthesizing this. The sources show really powerfully that personal boundaries, whether they're driven by hating tan lines or by cultural heritage, they don't exist in a vacuum. They collide head-on with generational and social pressures. And this negotiation, this push and pull between modesty and exposure, it's not unique to celebrities. The stakes are just so much higher for the Klum family.
It's a really compelling look at the difference between what a parent defines as normal, which in this case is a very individualistic, boundary-pushing norm, versus the often highly conservative norms that govern the world her kids have to live in. The outside world is always watching.
Mhm.
And for Lenny and her siblings, it seems like the judgment of their peers is a more powerful regulator than their own mother's philosophy.
It seems what the kids saw as normal was pretty quickly overwhelmed by what their friends saw as standoffish.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you. Build right on Leanie's words. Klum's stated goal was to be open and ensure her kids are more easygoing with their bodies. But does Linny's confession, feeling embarrassed and scared, while at the same time believing the behavior was normal for her family, does that suggest that parental intentions, even really well-meaning ones about body positivity, can sometimes just be completely overridden by the powerful, unforgiving weight of peer culture? And if that's the case, what does that mean for how we define and enforce boundaries in our own homes?
It's a difference between creating a safe zone for your family and actually preparing a child for the world outside it. Something to consider the next time you define what's normal in your own household.
A fantastic deep dive into some really complex boundaries of celebrity, culture, and family. Thanks for joining us.